37 teas. Why do I have 37 teas? Patha Cha sent out an email and said, hey, we have tons of samplers. Want to buy some? I said, okay. So these are not Patha Cha teas. They're just samples that were sent to him. And I thought, I'll try them all for you and see if any of them are any good.
How much did that cost you?
Like 40 bucks. So I'm probably not going to be able to drink all 37 teas today. You might see me wearing something a little different as I drink these over the next few days. Without further ado, let's get drinking. Number 1, Chuntao Oolong. Chocolatey caramel overtones, not super deep, not a ton of minerality. Smooth though, no bitterness. That's a winner. Into the winners pile. Boom.
Is that your designation, winners and losers?
I don't know.
I like that.
On to the next one. Floral Lapsang. Actually very interesting. It has this real off taste though that's lingering on the tongue. No smokiness. A little bit of black tea flavor, and then this weird, clingy, almost like drinking orange juice after you've just brushed your teeth. Put it in the note pile. Fujian, our second rock oolong already? That might even be a little better than the first. Very smooth, no bitterness, brewed it super long. A very smooth caramel note. That's a winner. Winner pile. Small leaf Shou Puerh. A nice creaminess, very light. The color was oddly light as well. No fishiness, nothing bad going on. Doesn't have much that's special though, so into the no pile. Rose Black. So there's actual rose in the black tea here, and oddly, it kind of works as long as you really like rose. The black tea isn't special, but it's not bad either. There's no bitterness coming out of it, and it doesn't have any overwhelming black tea flavor. So it's almost a sidekick to the rose. If you like rose, this is a winner. Personally, I'm gonna pass. White tea. So this one was just labeled white tea. It appears to be a Shou Mei, both from the smell and the look of the leaves. It tastes fine. There's the obvious sweetness you get from Shou Mei. There's nothing beyond that though. There's no depth. It's very thin on the mouth. The sweetness is a little sand green. This is a no for me. Yellow tea number 1. It starts off with a maltiness, almost caramel-like, and then very quickly dives into marine fishiness. And that's not pleasant at all. I don't know what the number 1 stands for, but this is not going to take first place in anything. That's a no. Te Luhan, another rock oolong, smells like a mix of beer and Laffy Taffy. Not bad, but a little too charcoaly and rough on the tongue, and the sweetness is just kind of weird. This is a good example of using a charcoal roast to overcome a subpar tea. It's okay initially, but once you let it linger, its true nature comes out. That's a no. High Mountain Green. Which mountain? Who knows? Which country? Who knows? So it's definitely a Chinese green tea. It has no freshness left in it, a touch of sweetness, but otherwise very stale and thin and flavorless. Definitely a no. Oriental Beauty. Flat, a little bit of what you look for in a champagne oolong, but really lacking. A little bit of an off taste in the back of the tongue. Not pleasant. That's a no. Taiguan Yen. No charcoal roast on it. Not super bright. Green, sweet. Then nothing off-putting. A very average Taiguan Yen. Nothing special, nothing bad. No pile. Jinhao black tea. That's really good. Smooth, malty, caramel, no bitterness, no off-putting taste. That goes in the winning pile. Raw Puer, Vietnam, 2016, which doesn't make a lot of sense. That's like saying a scotch from Germany. This is not Puer. This is extremely watery. This tastes like a stale tea that is partially oxidized that somebody decided they were going to ferment a little bit and then call it Puer. It's not good. It's the thinnest tea I've drank yet. That's a no. Lapsang Souchong, black tea. This is pretty good actually. Whoever produced this did a really nice job. The roast on it is just enough to allow the natural sweetness of the tea to shine. The only thing lacking is there's not much depth. There's not much thickness, so the leaves are a little weak, but the actual production on it is really good. And because it has this really awesome sweetness to it and it wasn't overdone, I'm putting it in the winter pile. I don't think it's gonna last for many steeps though. Rugway. Doesn't have any classic Rugway flavor. If you just taste it on its own, I don't think you'd be able to determine it was that. Pretty thin, a little bit of sweetness, which is nice, but way too charcoaly. Over roasted. That's a no. Ripe Puer. Completely flat. Smells of burnt candy. Just nothing to it. I'm not even sure what went wrong with this tea, but it's bad. It's really bad. That's a no. Sencha. Ooh. Oh, you want to taste this one? Let me know your thoughts.
That's basic. Basic sencha.
Basic Sencha. Okay.
Not bad. I like it.
Was it in the winner or loser pile?
Winner?
Okay. Winner, chicken
I
dinner.
mean, it's not the best sencha I've ever had, but...
I'm putting it in the loser pile.
I heard that.
Gyokuro. Very good. Both sweet and savory. Not overwhelming, not too vegetal. No bitterness. Doesn't blow you away, but nice and simple and gentle. And that's a winner. Another Sencha. Ew. This should be interesting. Oh, that's one of the worst teas I've ever had. Oh, it looks gross. It tastes gross. Looks were not deceiving there. That tastes like roadkill. Hey Bethany, I have a tea for you. Yellow tea number 2. Oh, this one's a lot better than the first one. Has a real nice sweet note. Still has a little bit off and it's still kind of thin. It's going to be a no, but it is better than yellow tea number 1. Wild green. The only flavor on this is a little bit of fishy, a lot of bitterness, and nothing else. Super thin. This is gross. Apparently they think if they call it wild green, it'll make their terrible tea special. It's not. It's horrible. That is a big no. GuShu Dian. It's very thin for a GuShu. A little bit of cocoa, some bark, some woodiness, but really lacking, falling very flat. Doesn't even coat the whole mouth. Disappointing. That's a no. Shou Wang 2020. This is actually a pretty nice shoe. Nothing overwhelming. It's pretty tame. It's got a nice little sweetness. It's got a nice balance. It's not overly musty. Very pleasant flavors. There's nothing really drawing me in though. So a little weak in that regard. I might give it a no. Wild black tea. Much nicer than the wild green, that's for sure. It's got a nice little spice to it. Little cinnamon. It's very coating. Heavy black tea flavor. It's a pretty good tea. A lot of people would like this tea. It's a preference thing for me. Just not enough cream or chocolate or caramel or maltiness for me to care about it. GuShu Shu. Whoa, that's really good. That's really good shoe. Thick, full body, super flavorful. Has mahogany, wood, leather, but sweetness, brown sugary sweetness. Oh, yeah, flavor just comes pouring out. This is by far the best shoe I've had. It's amazing when you do a bunch of these, the really good ones stick out immediately. It has a little bit of a weird aftertaste. Oh, there's a burnt aftertaste on it. Gosh, almost like it's roasted. Oh, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to do a full session with this one. Do a deep dive into it. Might just be because I brewed it for like a minute. The aftertaste is the only thing wrong with this tea. Gotta put this one off to the side. That's a winner. Sencha, another one. So the rating system is just a designation of one of two things. Basically, if I owned my own tea shop, would I be interested in stocking this tea or not? So it's a pretty high bar that it has to reach. That's a good Sencha. A little bit of brightness, smooth, nothing gross like the last one. It's really good. Ooh, split on this one. Could I sell this tea? You know what? Just because it's the best of all the senchas I've tried, I'm gonna put it in the yes pile. For now, at least. It's borderline, though. There's very few senchas out there that really excite me, so I might be a little biased there. Yunnan Feng green tea. So some of the biggest leaves you'll ever see for a green tea. There's not much to this tea. It has a nice gentle sweetness. It's pleasant. Nothing bad. Nothing exciting either. It's a no. Wangshan Feng green tea. This is a good tea. It's got both depth, brothiness, sweet, covers nicely. There's nothing that differentiates it with a bunch of other teas just like it though. So for that reason, I'm gonna say no, but that's a good tea. Another, Shou Puerh. Has a nice sweetness, not super full-bodied, little thin. It's nice, but it's not great. This would be a pretty good tea for somebody who maybe has never had Shou Puerh before. It wouldn't really overwhelm, and it's pleasant enough, but I'm gonna go with a no. Tibetan Yancha. Yeah, that's not very good. Real chalky, charcoaly on the mouth. No depth. There's a lot of taste on the tongue, but it doesn't have much flavor to it, if that makes sense. It doesn't have much thickness to it. It somehow has a lot of mouthfeel and is still thin. I've never really had a Tibetan tea that blew me away, and this is no exception. In fact, this is one of the worst ones I've had, so that's a definite no. Vietnamese Black, a lot of flavor. A lot of like lychee, fruity type flavors, little spice. It's got this like odd like styrofoam taste to it as well, which is a little off-putting. This is a good tea, but some of the notes are not hitting right for me, so it's gonna be a no. Yeah, another really good one that's going in the no pile. Shui. Way too much charcoaly burntness hitting the tongue. It overrides everything else. There's some decent flavors in there, but this cannot hold up. The roast is just overwhelming all the other flavors. So for that reason, this one is a no. Jin Mu Dan. Oh, that's not good at all. Not only is the roast overwhelming, but all the flavors are just bad. So it's a bad flavor covering up other bad flavors. And there's absolutely nothing going for this. That's a definite no. Another wild black tea. This is a really nice tea. It's got great sweetness. It's got a little bit of spice. It has some like apple cider vinegar going on. It's crushing the back of my tongue a little too much with that black tea flavor and a little too much bitterness. So for those reasons, I'm going to say no, but it's a good tea. Another GuShu Shou Puerh. Oh, that's the most unique Shou Puerh I've ever tasted. I have no basis for whether this tea is good or not. That is so strange. It's so malty and sweet. It's almost like a dessert that has way too much sugar in it. And on the first bite, you're like, oh, that's really good. And then it slowly dawns on you that that's way too much sugar. That's what's happening here. Oh, that's too much. That's weird. I've never had a tea build up so quickly on my tongue. I don't know. It looks weird too. I'm so confused. I don't like it though, but it might be amazing. I need a shoe expert to tell me if this is terrible or amazing. We're gonna put it in a special category of confusion. Oh my gosh, what a ride. Jasmine, silver needle. It smells really good. Ton of jasmine, not too much though. It's not like overwhelming me, and I'm very easily overwhelmed by jasmine. A really full flavor, but not an overwhelming flavor. The tea is doing a little bit for me, but not a ton. I'm gonna have to get an expert opinion from the jasmine expert, but it's pretty good. It's not for me, but for a jasmine lover, I think, I might be wrong, but I think this would be a good tea. And finally, number 37, last, hopefully not least, Milanjong Oolong. This has been a journey. I think this is the first Dan song that I've had. I think it's the only one in the whole batch. And it's pretty good. It's got great floral notes. It's got a hoppiness. It's got a sweet currant flavor in there. My palate is kind of busted up over the last few teas, so I'm probably not able to get a super fair tasting. I'll come back to it later, but I think it's a good tea. I think it's up there. I brewed it really hard, and it's not off-putting at all. Just for fairness sake, I'm gonna put it in the yes pile, but I reserve the right to throw it in the no pile upon a second tasting. So there you go. Last one's a yes. Okay, everyone. 37 teas have been tasted. Here are all the ones that I said yes to. So here is the bowl with all of the spent leaves from all 37. This is probably about 130 grams of tea in here. I ended up with 8 I said yes to. I'll give them all a second tasting. We'll see if I change my mind or not, but 8 out of 37 is a lot more than what I was expecting. I was thinking like 1 or 2 would be really stand out. I also thought way more of them would just be terrible. There was only like maybe 5 or so that I was like, oh, this is gross. So overall, was this a good idea? No, this was not a good idea. I do not recommend to anybody to do this. So I did it over the course of 3 days. I was drinking approximately 12 a day. Don't drink 12 teas in a day. Physically on the body, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good on the stomach. For me, I feel like I've drank coffee. I get the jitters, way too much caffeine. I had trouble sleeping the last couple nights due to the amount of caffeine I had drank. There's no upside to doing this. It's good to know that now, I guess. It might be good for a video, but other than that, anyone has any questions about this process or any of these teas, let me know. Otherwise, I will see everyone next time. Bye. So among the winners, I have 2 Japanese greens. I have a Shou Puerh, 2 black teas. I have a couple rock oolongs and 1 dansong. So a pretty good variety, overall. I guess now I'm ready to start my own tea shop.